Hey everybody, welcome back to Record-ology. Today, it's all about the automatics. For some reason, 2024 has turned into the year of the entry-level automatic. Previous to this, we really had one contender in this space that was the recommended entry-level turntable, and that was the Audio-Technica LP60 series, and it's been a great design that's been around since the 90s. And then all of a sudden, we start seeing some upgrades this year. Audio-Technica themselves went to the LP70, which has the same mechanism but in a different design with a better cartridge. Crosley came out with the C300, and now Victrola has their automatic entry. There's just all these automatics all of a sudden. What's interesting is the Crosley and the Victrola seem to use a completely different technology for that automatic functionality. Anyway, it's going to be an interesting show. You're not going to want to miss this. $169. I want us to keep that in the back of our head as we go through this. It must be a pretty compact unit. This is a smaller box, but you know, this is the most affordable of the big three automatics. So I'm curious to see how it stacks up. This is the VPT 800. Hope you guys are having a great day, by the way, doing whatever it is that you are doing. All right, so we got a retail box in here. I really just hope that it's not too plasticky, too lightweight. I'm hoping that it surprises us. I hope that platter is metal. I think it should be. That's going to be the biggest thing. So yeah, these automatics are really interesting because they are the entry-level turntables for these brands in a lot of cases. But an automatic turntable, that's a good feature. Like, that's a premium feature. So it's interesting that the automatics are on the entry level instead of the higher end right now. Looking at the feature set, we've got a repeat functionality. We've got the 3600 cartridge, RCA outputs, Bluetooth outputs, switchable preamp, removable dust cover, belt drive, aluminum platter, thankfully, and a felt slip mat. So pretty basic, but hopefully implemented well. It's been really interesting watching Victrola sort of reposition itself from a lifestyle brand like Crosley to one that is really focused on what they hope to be higher end turntables. We got cables, power supply, and a manual. And then everything is plastic wrapped in this carton. I remember having conversations with the guy that Victrola brought on in order to sort of rebrand things and implement a new approach. And the whole thing was about implementing these higher end turntables. And I really haven't reviewed any of their higher end ones, like I don't even know what they're called, but the ones that hook up to Sonus and things. You've seen them. They come with like Ortophone red or blue cartridges. They look, you know, much higher end. But then they've also worked on sort of reintroducing some of the mid to lower end products as well. I hope this is a good automatic. I love automatic turntables. You guys know I'm always rooting for these turntables to be good options because we're all about the beginner here. We're all about people just getting into this hobby, or people on a budget, people that want to do things super affordably. So if there's a good quality entry-level thing, something that I've been harping upon a lot lately is the idea that entry-level doesn't mean low quality. There can be high quality entry-level products. And that, I think, is hard for some folks to wrap their brain around, because I think the tendency is to consider entry-level as cheap or low quality when it really doesn't have to be that way. So entry-level has a place in this industry, very much so, because it's the gateway for folks. All right, this box, I assume, has the platter in it. I am so glad that they are using a metal platter. That's mandatory. You have to have that weight. Now, it is aluminum. It's die-cast aluminum. But, you know, there is enough mass inertia here to really smooth out a lot of those speed fluctuations of the motor and provide a good listening experience. All right, interesting. So no powder coating here. This looks like just the actual aluminum die-cast piece itself with the sub-platter and the belt. And then we've got a piece of paper strip there to help align that. Let's take a look at the mat. Ooh, really soft, very flexible, soft mat. Turntable itself, it is very light. That's before the platter is put on, but you know, it doesn't It does feel like there's more weight in the back too. I always say this, but it's not disturbingly light, but you know, it is lightweight. Let's go ahead and remove this film from the dust cover. Love it. Smoked dust cover, or tinted, as some people tell me I should be saying. Interesting that there's a piece of film on the bottom side too. I haven't seen that before. We got the branding. It looks like the branding has its own protective film there. Somebody was pointing out in a comment to an older video on something I reviewed that I left a piece of film on somewhere. So people notice these things. Got to make sure that I'm paying attention to the details. Also, we've got these little stickers down here that say remove before use. And I'm assuming that that's just a protective film to keep the plinth in good shape. That's good. I have never seen that before either. All right, materials. This is a matte black plastic. All the way through here, we've got the polycarbonate dust cover. Feels good and thick. It's got rubber stops on the ends. The Tonearm. This is the part I was the most nervous about because it looks kind of cheap plastic. So, oh, interesting. What? That might be a metal Tonearm. Gosh, that's really surprising. I thought that was going to be plastic. It looks just like a hollowed out plastic Tonearm. Even the LP70, which I love, has a cheaper than I would like it to be Tonearm. Got this piece back here. Wow. And that's metal back there. We've got a 3600 on here with a little protective film. And of course the stylus guard. Okay, it is hollowed out, but that's metal. Okay, I am very pleasantly surprised to report that that's a metal Tonearm. Strange. It's definitely strange. Minimalistic. And we have a plastic lined lift shelf over here. All right, let's test the gimbal. A little bit of movement. Nothing bothersome about that in terms of what I can perceive at this point. No anti-skate adjustment, but that's because the cartridge is fixed. If it's a fixed cartridge, there's no sense in having that be adjustable. All right, so we got a switch for the size and a switch for the speed. I like the fact that it's down here versus all the way in the back like the Audio-Technica. Down here in the front, we've got a play pause and then a lift and a repeat button. I'm just guessing based on the symbolism there, the iconography, as it were, but that looks to be what that is. And then on the very front edge, we've got a power button, which will probably serve as a Bluetooth pairing switch as well. Nestled under the edge of that Tonearm is the 3600L carbon fiber cantilever. Nothing wrong with it whatsoever, but it is fixed, so you're not going to be able to upgrade the cartridge, but you'll be able to either upgrade or replace the stylus, which is totally, completely fine. Looking at the Platter well here, this main bearing seems average. I mean, it spins. It's not like super like spin it and it just goes forever, but it's also not resistive. Interesting placement of the motor. That is really, really interesting. Also, I want to point out something. And, all of the automatics, from the 1980s inception of that very common BSR design that is seen in so many record players up until this year have, been pretty much identical under the hood. Even higher end ones like the LP3 from Audio-Technica, which I love, feature the same automatic mechanism. But this does not. This is something different. The Crosley as well. These are using something different. You can see there's no gears visible. So it's using more electronics to accomplish that versus the mechanical gears and whatnot that we have seen for so long. Also of note, and probably tied into that as well, is the fact that the cueing switch is electronic. It is not mechanical. And as such, you can't cue it until it's powered on. Looking on the back, we have an RCA output connection with a gold-colored grounding post, a preamp switch, the 12-volt power supply. This is very interesting. USB-C connection that says service only. So I think that's indicative of the fact that there are some electronics running things instead of purely electromechanical. I am thankful that it's different. I love it when it's different. Okay, so we do have the trim pots for the motor And the feet are interesting. These are sort of a soft, solid rubber foot that's recessed. They have some movement just because of the material. Maybe a hair bit of a pivot capability, but non-adjustable. Yeah, that's the bottom side. Plastic on the bottom. It is a bit boxy, plasticky feeling, but I'm so glad it's got the metal platter and the metal tone arm. That's huge. I like how that's recessed down there quite a bit. And then we're going to stretch our belt over the pulley and then remove the paper strip once we separate it, making sure that it's riding down in the pulley properly and flat against the edges of the sub platter. Cool. Felt mat on, and we're making progress. This looks good. I like the look of it. I like the recessed platter. Now it comes with a mega lame cheapo plastic 45 adapter, but I would recommend the custom Record-ology 3D printed adapters. By the way, we're getting close to last call on the exclusive red and green ones for the holidays. So order yours today. Alrighty, time to run some tests. And let's go ahead and find out what the tracking force is. 3.25-ish, which is fine. Totally within range. In fact, it's on the lighter end. Now I'm about to plug it in, but before I do that, I want to give you a little pro tip. When it comes to automatic turntables, oftentimes these turntables will be at some point in the process of their return cycle, and they kind of move around in shipping a little bit, I think. So sometimes when you plug it in, it will like start moving the tone arm or something. But these new electronic control ones may be different. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and plug it in. Hopefully nothing happens right off the bat. And I think we're good. No movement whatsoever. So yeah, this is a different beast than the mechanical, electromechanical ones that we've reviewed so often. All right, let's figure out how to use this thing. Should be pretty simple. Pressing once the power button lights up, and I think then it is, yeah. Okay, pretty simple. So automatic start. If you want to use the start and stop functionality, get the full automatic effect, auto return, auto start, everything, then that's obviously fine, and one of the reasons why you would probably buy this. However, you can use it as a manual turntable. Apparently people go in and disable that sometimes. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't recommend doing that, but I mean, I can't imagine disliking auto return so much that you want to deactivate it. Okay, now let's test the anti-skate. I'm pretty sure this is going to be factory set. It's either factory set or it doesn't exist. So in order to demonstrate that the disc is moving, I'm going to put that there. And oh yeah, it's off. I need to turn it on. And now I'm going to place the tone arm. Sometimes from the outside edge it'll move in a little bit, but it shouldn't go in that far. No, that's, oh, and it started the auto return. I was wondering what the sounds were. Wow, you can hear that motor. So the motor is actually moving the tone arm around, not the platter rotation. So you hear a motor going kind of as it moves it back. But I don't think there's any anti-skate on this. Let me put it in the middle. Yeah, totally shouldn't be doing that. Totally shouldn't be pulling into the middle. So this has no anti-skate applied, which is a bummer. It's not a complete deal breaker. Like, it's not going to ruin your listening experience. Basically, you want that stylus to ride neutral in the groove. You don't want it to be biased, either pushing in or pulling out. So the anti-skate keeps it neutral, and this one is going to be pulling in a little bit. So its pressure on the inner groove wall is going to be a little bit higher than on the outer one. And again, not ideal, but that doesn't mean it's going to sound bad. All right, go ahead and take off this disc and we'll replace it with this one. This is the stroboscopic disc. This is a strobe warning. We're going to test the speed. Also keep in mind that the speed is adjustable via those trim pots on the bottom, but let's go ahead and start here. We're going to be looking at the bottom two bands. This is a 2-speed turntable. So first, 33 RPM, which is the bottom band. And let's see what we got. Let's see, it's marching to the right, meaning that it's a hair slow. So it's a hair slow. That may improve over time. She's running a hair slow. Let's go up to 45. That'll be the middle band. Usually these two will follow suit. So yes, these need an adjustment. Okay, I've got my adjustment tool in the bottom of the unit, sort of blindly getting that into position while looking at the strobe through the camera and making the adjustment. All right, and I think we got that pretty well locked and loaded. Let me go to 45 now. I have to move the trim pot or the adjustment tool to the other trim pot. And we are going to dial that back in as well. There we go. Much better. This is the adjustment tool that I was using. Highly recommended. It's non-conductive, but it's like super strong. So you would think, oh, it's plastic, it's just going to get chewed up. But it doesn't. It's some sort of super dense material. And it's important that it's non-conductive because when you go in there with a metal screwdriver adjustment tool, and it has to be like eyeglass size. Like tweaker tool is way too big, surprisingly. You've got to go in there with like an eyeglass repair kit size screwdriver and flat blade. And when you go in there, if it's metal and it touches the side of the motor casing, it'll short out, making the motor run at full speed. So it's really difficult to set with those, which is why it's a good investment to make. It's a good investment. You can do it with the metal ones, but it's more painstaking for sure. Okay, let's take a look at the manual. See how we do connect that Bluetooth. It's actually like 2 pages, this manual, and the rest is just repeated in other languages. So, all right, connect to speakers, press and hold, power off, single press to switch output modes between RCA and vinyl stream, which is the copyrighted Bluetooth output technology. And we'll be able to pair our device. Really cool. All right, so then I'm gonna hit the play button again, which will bring the Tonearm home and stop the record player from spinning. It's just so weird to see an automatic with this new mechanism. The Platter stopped automatically, or first actually before the Tonearm came home, which is weird because usually what happens is the Tonearm comes back, the record keeps spinning, and as soon as it drops into the rest, then it stops spinning. But in this case, it's the opposite. So everything's different now. Everything is different. It is a noisier mechanism. I will say that. It is a noisier mechanism. But once the Tonearm drops, once the record starts playing, it's silent again. Okay, let's try 12-inch record. This is Bing Crosby Ultimate Christmas. And Bing Crosby is back on the Billboard charts with this for the first time in over 60 years. I thought it was 40-something when I was doing the show yesterday, but it's over 60 years. Okay, this is also 33, but it is 12-inch. Hitting the start or play button. And we still should be connected to the Bluetooth. If you people, and that you may be surprised to hear that these questions come up, but you know, this is a beginner's channel and I get beginner's questions, which are always welcome, never discouraged. One of the questions is with an automatic, how do you skip to the next track? These are fairly basic automatics. They don't have any ability to skip between individual tracks, but you can always manually cue it, either with your thumb like that or finger if you're really steady, or you can press the cueing switch and that will lift it up electronically in this case, and you can manually move it to where you want. Look for those lines between the tracks, press it again, and it will gently descend and play. There's always a bit of a delay from when the needle hits to when the sound comes out on Bluetooth, because Bluetooth means that there's actually a DAC on board. It's converting that analog signal digitally, transmitting it to your Bluetooth device, your speaker, which then decodes the digital back into analog. But what if you have an odd size record? What if you have a 9 or 10-inch record like this and you want to play it on your automatic? Well, there's only 2 size settings, 7 and 12-inch. If we set it to 12-inch, the needle will drop over here. If we set it to 7, it would drop over there. So how in the world do you do this? Well, I'm already kind of demonstrating that, because all you have to do is manually cue it up. Now this is a 78, so that's not a great example, but if you have a 10-inch 33, a 10-inch 45, etc., there's weird sizes and speeds of records. You can always manually cue it up, and that shouldn't be a problem. One thing that more seasoned users of vinyl records may be thinking about is the reject point. Sometimes you need to make an adjustment at what point when this thing hits the runout groove does it know the record's over and comes back. This one seems to be in a good spot from what I can tell. Some record players need some adjusting. I don't see a way to easily adjust that. However, like I said, it does seem to be set properly. All right, that's basic setup, functionality. We've tested everything. I think the only thing left now is a direct feed sound test. You guys know that I have an issue with my recorder. You may be saying, just get a new recorder, but they're expensive, and this is a good recorder otherwise, where the line input is really a mic level input. So if I connect it to a line level source, like the preamp out of this built-in preamp, it's going to come out line level, but very, very hot in such a way that this can't record it without distortion. So I've been using a headphone amplifier to lower the sound. However, that's not ideal because the headphone amplifier has acoustical properties. It's not passive, it's an active device. Therefore, it could technically color the sound, and I don't want that to happen. I want you to hear as direct to the original record player as possible. So I bought this. This was only like $8. It's a volume attenuator, passive one at that. So basically at maximum volume, it's 100% of the signal, and then you can turn it down to quiet it. It's completely passive, no batteries, no power. You just plug the source in one side and the output the other side, clearly labeled. So I'm going to be using this in the background from now on for these direct feeds. So that's good. That should simplify things. Also makes the filming process a bit quicker. Hit record on the recorder, and without further ado, here's a direct feed of the Victrola Automatic. My friends, and that is going to do it for today. I hope you enjoyed this show, and I hope you've been enjoying our Vlogmas shows here on Record-ology and over at my wife's channel, Rain's Place. Links down below. We've been having a blast bringing you all kinds of cool stuff and doing giveaways. Lots of giveaways, and it's a lot of fun to do, to give back, and we appreciate each and every one of you. We're just having a blast all year round, and especially at Christmas time. And I hope that you are enjoying it and being along for the journey as well. The Victrola Automatic, it's good. I would recommend it. I think the price point is fantastic. It's more affordable than its competition, and I think that the design is a bit utilitarian. It's a little bit plain, but it kind of goes along with a lot of the higher end turntables that Victrola is coming out with. So I think it's on brand for what they're trying to do, and I was satisfied with the quality. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts were on the direct feed, as well as the functionality and sort of the unique way that those automatic functions are being implemented. Wasn't that kind of interesting how it's different? So we might be seeing sort of a shift in that area. It's fun and it's interesting, but most of all, I just hope that you had a fun time watching this show, and we've got a lot more content coming up your way very, very soon, including this very day where we have another video all about Christmas stuff. So if you want to celebrate the season with us, you are cordially invited to do so. But that's going to do it for today. So happy record hunting, and we'll see you next time.